Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Investment Show. It's called Modern Investing on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and today's guests we have Dr. Milan Sambarak. Welcome to the show.
Delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
And we have Jim Ead from Ead Foundation. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Great to be here, Sasha. Thank you for inviting me.
Great, glad to see you. And today, in about half an hour time, and we'll have a decision of Federal Reserve, and then at 2:30 there will be comments, which are very important, so we could see which directions interest rate are going, because of course market is affected by this decision to a certain degree, to say the least. And in the meantime, market is still very nervous, and there are many reasons for that. A special case, in my opinion, is a stock by the name Tesla. And although it's up today, it'll go maybe even higher. But if you look at the chart, I see that there is a major support is of $168 a share, whereas trading now at around 240 or so. There is a long way to go down, a long way. And once, if and when it will break 168, the next support is $15 a share. There is no support after 168 is done. There is no support really. So people who hold Tesla are indeed very brave people. I must admit, I cannot hold stock like that when there is no support virtually. Jim, what about you? Sorry?
Jim, I have one. It's a wonderful car.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, the cars are good. I'm surprised that people are burning these cars now in the United States everywhere.
Yes.
They're burning really good cars and so on. You know, the only bad thing about Tesla is they don't hold the residual value very well. It's if you want to sell your Tesla today, there will be any offers. But as long as you can drive it, you're fine.
I had a woman friend who leased the Tesla, and I thought that was not the right way to go. But I just admire her wisdom in retrospect, because I wouldn't release it if I had been leasing it instead of owning it.
My Tesla is 8 years old, and it has an aluminum body, so it's not going to rust.
Yeah.
And I hear by reading that some Teslas have been driven for over 1 million miles.
It's not quite
well-made car. When we got ours, it was called the safest car that there is, because it doesn't have an engine up front, and very often in head-on collisions, which are deadly kiss of death, head-on collision, the driver winds up with the engine in his lap. But Tesla, because it doesn't have an engine, it has 4 motors driving the 4 wheels. It has a large crumple zone, so the hood absorbs the shock, and so that's partly what makes it safe. The other thing that makes it safe is got airbags all over the place. Yeah, you have a hard time getting killed in a Tesla. And the other thing is that automobile theft is at a record high. You cannot steal a Tesla. Yeah, the minute the Tesla disappears, the owner calls the company, and they will tell the driver, this car is coming to a stop in 15 minutes, find a safe place. Mm-hmm. So, and I talk to people when I recharge my Tesla at the supercharger stations. There's one just 10 minutes walking distance from where I live. And I talk to Tesla owners, and they all tell me it's the best car they ever owned, but many say they would never buy another because of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Now, how long it takes to recharge Tesla?
From nearly zero to 400 kilometers, it takes close to an hour.
Mhm.
So
Are you familiar?
are placed in such a way that there are always restaurants, so you can do it around lunchtime and have your lunch, and you can sit there at your lunch table, dinner table, and monitor how much more you have. You can use your smartphone to monitor how much longer you need to charge your Tesla.
What if you're not hungry?
Well, there's the stores and shops too, and so you can arrange to charge your Tesla when you're hungry. But there are also a lot of stores there you can do shopping, so you can do something useful.
I charge mine overnight. While I'm sleeping, it's charging.
Have you heard about the Chinese company BYD?
Yeah.
So they made yesterday an announcement that it will take 5 minutes to fully recharge their electric car.
Yeah, see, that's always going to improve. The
Batteries are getting better and better.
batteries will get better. Yeah, everything is going to get better.
It'll take less time to charge them up, and they will hold a larger charge.
Charge longer, yes.
And there will be more supercharge stations. When you take
Absolutely, the infrastructure will improve as well.
Yeah.
Trump probably will try to help his friend to have like on every corner the charging stations.
Interestingly, Trump is against electric cars. I don't understand.
He is.
Yeah.
And
He's for gas and oil. But the thing is that with Musk having his ear, whatever laws get passed will hurt Tesla's competitors, but not Tesla itself. Tesla will be in the inside making the rules, and that's a nice place to be. So, but I think the stock itself, I owned it at one point and it doubled in its value, and I sold, and then it kept going up and up, and I was kind of sorry that I sold, but then it crashed down to well below where I bought it, and then so the volatility of the stock really put me off. I just can't hold a stock that goes up and down like that.
We shouldn't buy individual stocks, James. Don't buy individual stocks. Buy the U.S. market as a whole.
Yes.
By holding an exchange-traded fund which tracks the S&P 500.
Well, and I haven't seen you guys in a couple of weeks, and I, was mostly bedridden, and I woke up to find that the market had crashed. The tech sector had crashed, and what happened?
When the market,
I got one word to answer.
When the market crashes, James, if you have an asset allocation of say 50-50, 60-40 is also good, 45-55, any of those, so long as you have a lot of money. Wall Street doesn't like that because they don't make any money on the cash portion. But if you have an asset allocation of, let's say, 50-50, when the market drops and you have more cash than SPY, you use that cash to buy bargains and bring it back up to 50-50. When the market rises and you have more SPY than you have cash, you sell some SPY to bring it back to 50-50. So you're taking profit. You are constantly buying bargains and taking profits.
I want to ask you a question. You just mentioned that Wall Street doesn't make any money on your cash. So you imply that they are making money on your stocks position in your portfolio. How do they do that?
Money makes money. Holding $1 billion is better than holding $100, and you will make money if you have $100 billion in assets to manage. So this is why one of the reasons these people are so well-to-do, well-off.
But wait a second, Jim. Let's just look into it. So what you're implying is that they're making money on their money managing activities, but I don't see how they can make any money on even what Milan is doing. He's buying S&P 500.
Well, let's just say that if I pay you 2% from a money management money market fund, and I make 3% in the money that you've given me, then I do that for every customer, that 1% starts to add up.
No, I have no questions about the money managing business of Wall Street.
Assets under management is where the money comes from.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. You're absolutely right, and both you, Jim, right, and you, Milan, are right.
But the stocks, you're saying.
I'm asking you on your portfolio, which Milan very specifically advocates that it's all self-managed. So you are buying stocks, you are selling stocks, whenever you decide. So on these activities, for example, like in my brokerage house, there is no commissions whatsoever.
I know, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, Questrade is great. So if I'm buying 1,000 shares of Tesla, and then I'm selling 1,000 shares of Tesla, Wall Street is not making any money on whenever I bought the 1,000 shares and whenever I sold the 1,000 shares. So how Wall Street is making money on that?
They're making enormous amounts of money on mutual funds. Really, it's unbelievable. During any
wait, you're right.
Yeah.
So in your model, what you're just talking about, when you have 50-50 allocation or 60-40, or as you said, 55-45 is okay too. So whenever you shuffle your portfolio, as market goes down, so you're buying more. When market goes up, you sell more.
Yeah.
How Wall Street making money on your, well, maybe on you, they are making some money because you're paying some commissions here and there.
Oh, that's right. Commissions are so low you can ignore
Exactly. They're very low. In my case, there are no commissions. In my case, Wall Street does not make any money on my purchases or my selling stocks. In your case, it makes a little bit, a very minuscule amount of money. So your assertion that Wall Street doesn't like when you hold cash, Wall Street doesn't like you when you don't hold cash or have 50-50 and you sell or buying stocks on your own, making your own decisions. Wall Street is not making any money on you and, of course, on me and probably on you.
A couple of things. First of all, how does assets under management work? Because
no, we are not talking about this. You don't have money under management because you are talking about self-rule on your
right.
when you are buying stocks whenever it's the right time and you're selling stocks whenever it's the right time. So on you, me, and perhaps Jim, Wall Street does not make any money on cash and on stocks. Would that be correct, or am I missing something?
Jim, you have the answer to that.
Well, there are ways, and I don't know the intricacies of the inner workings of the marketplace that well. But for example, I have an accounts at Schwab, and so I have let's just pick a round number, say 100K at Schwab, and I have invested in certain things, individual stocks, ETFs, and money market funds for cash purposes. And so Schwab has all of that money, and like you say, the commissions that they charge for my trades are insignificant. But by the fact that they have people like myself, say they have 100K of people owning 100K, that's a lot of money to manage. And so they can take positions that pay them more than what we are talking about getting off of a money market. So the fact that I always say money makes money, and so that when you have a lot of money, you can take positions. And we have a frequent guest, Shaquille, who could talk to this more intelligently than I can.
Wait a sec, Jim. But if you administer your portfolio of 100K, so you're making decisions when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell, and so on, then Charles Schwab accepts commissions which are quite low, evidently. How is he making money on customers like you?
Well, they don't make money so much off of an individual like me, but if they have 100,000 individuals like me, then they are managing a huge amount of money.
Oh, that's understandable.
Right.
But what I'm driving is that three of us do not belong to majority of people who have money under the house management.
I agree with you, Sasha.
That's all what I'm trying to say, is that there are people like three of us where Wall Street does not make not any money. In my case, they don't make any money. In your case, they make very little money. Okay, that's important. So if people they don't want to do their investment decisions and they rely on advisors and
Yeah.
mutual funds, or ETFs, or whatever, yeah, so they're paying a little bit of money here and there.
Yeah. Interestingly about Charles Schwab, if you take a look at SEC actions, that is, who are they fining? Put down SEC actions and put down the name of any bank, they are all fined. They budget for being fined. The two exceptions are Charles Schwab and Warren Buffett. They have never been charged by the SEC. All the others are.
So when you were saying that Wall Street is making money on you, they're making money only on people who made their choice to provide their money to financial managers and mutual funds or whatever they are.
No, and I agree with what your point is, Sasha. That doing it yourself is the right way to go, and you don't care what the Wall Street says.
Well, I mean, if you are not confident enough,
That's
or you don't have time, or you don't understand anything what's going on, or so on,
That's
and you
have
point. Some money, even if it's $100K or $1 million, it doesn't matter. Then it probably makes sense to even I wouldn't use financial advisors. I would just stick with ETFs and just learn about the indexes, learn about charts. For example, what I said earlier about Tesla, it's all coming from charts. Where did they get 168 support? Charts. You have a channel.
And almost all software will provide you with those charts now. So it's not like the old days when we used to have to create them ourselves.
No. But you see, when you learn how to read charts, then you know what, you can go on Yahoo Finance.
Yes, anywhere.
That's very primitive chart, say for 6 months, 12 months, and you can put your lines, and it's like an open book. You see everything.
Absolutely.
I did a study chart of NVIDIA recently, because it's very important for all technical support and for all high-tech market and so on. And NVIDIA has a buy point of $153 a share. It's their high, of all-time high, 153. If it will touch 153, it will go much higher. But before that, it has to work in a channel where it has to break resistance lines. It has to get more volume. It has to get May earnings report. So there is a lot of work to be done before it will reach 153.
A lot of work. You know, Sasha, NVIDIA, talking about NVIDIA, it is a part of the S&P 500. So we talk about don't buy individual stocks. You can get into trouble. You're going to be right some of the time, but not all the time. But rules-based investment is always right. So you hold S&P 500 with an exchange-traded fund which tracks the S&P 500. SPY is the best one. You own NVIDIA. NVIDIA is in the S&P in SPY.
What is the percentage of NVIDIA in S&P 500?
It's the largest. It is the largest security that is in the S&P 500. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's the largest.
Divided by 500. But I logged on in after some time of not paying attention to the market, and I saw the stocks had gone down. The tech stocks that I bought, including NVIDIA, they're still higher than when I bought them. So after this terrific correction, they're still higher, and I still have confidence in the. But the only thing that holding me back on the confidence going forward, I see no downturn in the revenue stream unless Trump does something incredibly stupid, which is always possible. And so the market is just going to be shaky for a while, I think, until. And it doesn't matter what the Fed decides. The Fed doesn't know what Trump is going to do either. So they're not going to adjust interest rates. They don't have anything to go on. They can't just take their economy as it is now. They don't know what Trump is going to do to it. So
Well, consensus is that today they will not do anything.
yes, that's the only wise thing to do.
Lower or higher. It's a comments at two sources. That's what's important. Whether they see some signs, they maybe do a little bit lighter on interest rates, or maybe in June they will reverse maybe a quarter of a point. But interestingly enough, the Bank of Canada keeps lowering interest rates. Now,
which is the sensible thing to do. If you didn't have Trump as president, you would be able to predict that the lowering interest rates would be good for the economy.
Now, interestingly enough, our new prime minister visited U.S. and talked to their counterparts about tariffs. And interestingly enough, that when U.S. canceled their latest increase in tariffs, Canada did not lower its tariffs on U.S. And when he was asked, first of all, he was told that, well, U.S., you're not an exception. Interest rate, is it tariffs? U.S. will impose on all the world. All countries in the world will be imposed sooner or later. Tariffs. Now, those countries that will be nice to the United States, we will at some point we will lower tariffs, maybe even cancel. Now, those countries that are going to fight us, we are going all the way, all in, and we will destroy these countries and all that stuff. And so when he was asked, well, look, right now, you're the only one who have tariffs against the United States. When are you going to cancel them? He said, when you will be nice to us. And of course, I remember this, our new prime minister, he was for 7 years ahead of the Bank of England. And he had tremendous positions, well regarded in financial community in Canada, same as his wife, by the way, too. So that's a very interesting play. Now, on April 2nd, Trump barges with new tariffs against Europe. And you know what Europe replied? That they're going to impose tariffs on U.S. on April 1st. The day before that the U.S. will impose their tariffs. So this is a great...
Milan, I don't think we can hear you.
Milan?
No, we can't hear you now.
I can hear you.
You know, the solution is to log on, log off, log off and log back on.
Yeah.
We'll talk amongst ourselves until you return.
So
and
I think
this bullying tactic of Trump is basically he's saying to other countries, "Give me your lunch money," and you know, so the ones that are standing up to him and saying, "I'm not going to give you your lunch money," says, "Well, I'll punch you in the nose then," and they said, "Well, you know, I'll punch you in the nose back," and so bullies don't like to be punched in the nose. So when countries punch him back in the nose, he's not going to like it at all. But if he's already used his tariffs, then what else, other weapons is he going to use? So it's the economic bullying that other countries used to dislike the United States because of it. And Trump has brought it back in ways that are so open. It used to be covert, now it's overt, that America is a bully. And so it's a shameful time for someone like myself. Which is, I think it's already an economic economy, global economy, and we're trying to work on building a global community. And this is a serious step backwards. They're saying that it's our country, right or wrong, you know, kind of thinking. And I don't know what to make of it in terms of the economy. I can't see that it does well for maybe certain companies like Tesla will profit. But I don't see it as a boon for the overall economy.
You know, the tariffs, even if you impose tariff and then you cancel the tariff, okay, you know what's happening? I have a friend of mine. He has a small business in automotive supply. He's making some details for cars, and he sells a lot of it in the United States. Now, with these tariffs, obviously, his customers in the United States, they started to look for new suppliers.
Sure.
They started to back off their orders. So although they were canceled, these tariffs in probably same day, I think, But just because they were announced, it already played a major role that he had to fire a few people, let them go, and unfortunately, he has this business for 35 years.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
now he is in survival mode. He is looking for new customers in Asia, in Europe, elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's how it creates. Even if you announced the tariffs and you cancel them same day, but that's how it affects especially small businesses, and this is a very unfortunate situation.
Economists universally agree that tariffs are bad. Nobody wins
Yeah.
with tariffs, and Trump doesn't listen to that. But you know that Ontario is selling a lot of electricity to the United States,
Yeah.
and the Premier of Ontario is talking about stopping the sale of electricity to the United States. That will hurt a lot of people.
Yeah, there are three states, I think Minnesota, Michigan, and New York, that really do depend on Canadian electricity. And I'm surprised that does Trump get any advice from economists, from
Does he listen? Does he listen?
Yeah. That's a
I
key
looked,
question.
I looked at the number of Republicans who are against Trump, and it is a growing list. Yeah, if
no wonder.
yeah,
No,
Republicans.
he's buddying up to Putin. You know, the Republican Party used to be anti-Russian, anti-Moscow. You know, they're a free trade party. He's not. And, you know, he doesn't espouse any of the traditional Republican values. So it has to be with the real Republicans, the people that were Republicans, you know, a few decades ago and still are. He has to rub them the wrong way.
You know what's a horrible news a couple of days ago was that there's international commission which investigates Russian crimes against Ukrainians since the war started, and U.S. was part of that. And just 2 days ago, they announced that they're backing off this commission. They're no longer participating in this commission.
Yeah, truth, justice, and the American way is now taking on a new meaning.
Yeah, so you know what? This is together with many other things could be a big blow for the stock prices. I think that we are still okay by the end of this month, March. We're still about a week left. And I think that because of certain effects, window dressing after disastrous first quarter, I think that the market probably will go somewhat higher before the end of the month. But I think starting April, I don't expect anything good happen to the market at all.
You know, the price earnings ratio of the market today is much, much, much higher than its historical average.
Yeah,
checked
agreed.
today. As of today, the price earnings ratio is 25.03. Historically, it's much closer to 16%. 20-year price earnings ratio is about 15%. The market has got nowhere to go but down. And as I mentioned previously, Goldman Sachs and the Bank of America are predicting stock market returns of 0% to 1% for a decade in order for it to be where it historically has been.
It's a brave prediction because they have a huge portfolios of managed money from investors. So shouldn't investor pull their money out of people who are holding their money, promising them good returns, and at the same time saying for the next 10 years there will be no returns? How does it work?
They pull their money out, Sasha. What are they going to do with it?
Yeah.
Bonds.
What else? Yeah, good.
The American dollar still has value. But I do think that, those historical analyses are behind the times in the sense that right now, predicting future revenue in the tech industry, for example, doesn't apply to those types of old statistics because that revenue growth is unless the economy tanks, unless we go into severe recession, these revenue streams are going to continue and they're going to continue to grow. So it affects the price earnings because the earnings do not reflect the price of a stock that's valued according to future earnings. And so this is a technical analysis that is a little bit off of what I follow in the market, which is the tech sector. The tech sector doesn't apply. It's not going to retreat back to an old average. It's just not the way it works.
I heard you say, James, if the market tanks, you should say when the market tanks.
Yeah, well, I agree.
That's a certainty. Yeah.
Well, it depends. You were talking about market crash of 50% or so. It's one story. Now, if there is a 10% correction, but even in the last 3-4 years, we had quite a few market corrections of 10% or so, and then it recovered. The only thing is that was before Trump became president. So this time,
all bets are off.
Yeah, if it's a 10% correction, the danger is that it may remain for quite a while. It could be not just a dip where you are buying a dip, it goes hard. No, it's a recession now and correction or both. They could last much longer this time. They could last several months. I hope not years, and maybe it could last for 3.5 years until he's the president. That will be horrible. Of course, then he will be crushed in the election. But it's not a great joy to see your portfolio shrinking 20% or so, and then you have to wait until election. That's not a desirable scenario. That's for
sure.
I
remember what it was like in the Bush administration and then the Obama years that followed. So, in the first Trump administration, people forget how large the debt grew, because you can put on a real good semblance of wealth if you write hot checks, as Lloyd Benson once said. And so the debt just could soar under the first Trump administration. And I don't see, people will tell me he'd be more moderate the second time around. I don't think so. I think, he doesn't see any constraints on himself at all now. So all those wildest, weirdest thinking, buying Greenland or tariffs on anybody that annoys him in the morning and forgiving them over dinner. Come on, this is childish.
By the way, Greenland now costs Americans some money. I'll tell you how. You know a story about prices for eggs in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So, if not the biggest, one of the biggest producers of eggs in Europe, believe it or not, is Denmark. So, U.S. approached Denmark to sell them eggs. They flatly refused to sell eggs to U.S. at any price whatsoever. Here is what's happening when you are bullying, and it appears to me that it doesn't cost him any money to say we're gonna buy or annex Greenland. Well, here we go. In fact, it does cost money.
Yeah, irritating your neighbors is never a good policy.
Absolutely.
So,
it happened to Canada. Canadian Prime Minister, he had a trip last week to England and France, and he made a very interesting remark that Canada is the most European countries among non-Europeans. Yeah. And he said that Canada is full speed ahead with European leaders on international policies, on economics and tariffs wars and so on. So this is how it works. I don't understand how Trump dismissed retaliatory actions of France, including like Europe and Canada and so on. Now, speaking about the friendship, I think it's going apart now, because while he is playing games with Putin about bringing Russia back to G7, have all this incredible projects in Arctic to develop the oil, to working with Gazprom to bring in Russian gas to Europe. That's what Europe was working for the last several years not to do that, and they moved to U.S. liquefied gas. They are not dealing with Gazprom or anybody. And now Trump wants to have a blow against U.S. imports to Europe of liquefied gas. I'm lost in all that. Essentially, Trump was brought, one of the election promises was that he will make peace between Ukraine and Russia in 24 hours or something. Okay, so it was 24 days, 24 months, 24 years, whatever it might be. But he did not campaign of bringing Russia to G7, working with Russia, Gazprom to bring oil and gas to Europe. He did not campaign on that. That's something entirely foreign to American interest. And how does he do that? And how American people eat this? I'm
He-
lost, really.
He's a useful idiot.
He is, yeah.
Well, George Washington will be known throughout history because he was the first person in power to say, I don't need any more than 8 years. The first person ever to do so. Trump will make every effort possible to stay in power forever.
It's not going to be easy, but he will try. I agree with you. It's not going to be easy. He has to change constitution. He needs, I think, 70 or 75% of Senate to change constitution. How he's going to do that? So
A lot of his former friends, Republicans, are against him and against what he's doing. Doesn't speak well for him.
yeah, agree. Oh, okay, so the last, before we finish, of course, we have to talk about Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, and it's another great chart. I studied this chart of Bitcoin. Of course, there is a resistance of $108, which it touched once and never again. Now, right now, it's in trading range between 80,000 and 92,000. So there is a little bit of support, 90 or 80,000, resistance 92. And it's trading in this trading range. But what's interesting is that the next support level is 72 to 74,000. And if it broke through this level, you know what's next support? $15,000
Oh my goodness.
per Bitcoin. This is why it's quite a dangerous situation. Oh, it can go higher. I wouldn't bet any money that it will not, but we'll see if it will break through 72,000 on the way down. And let's see how low it can go. Nobody has a clue.
Well, I think Trump is going to support it.
I thought so, yeah. And initially, that's why it went up to 108,000. But it was one move up and down right away. It never stayed there for long. And now it's fighting for its life between 80 and 92,000, back and forth, back and forth. And you know, Jim, you know it. The longer stock staying in on such level, there will be break up or break down, and chances for a breakdown much more feasible than to break. See, for something to break on the way up, there must be a demand.
And there's a reason for it.
Well, reason could be a demand. What creates
yes, of course.
when people, investors are piling up and buying, give me Bitcoin, give me 5 Bitcoins, and buying and buying and buying. And in this economy, and also there has been established recently that Bitcoin correlates to high-tech stocks. They are moving in tandem most of the times. So if we are looking at possible recession and possible, I'd say, I would say correction or worsen correction, but it's a correction even 10%. So if you subtract from 80,000, 82,000, 10%, then we are going into 72, 74,000. And that's where support is. And it could stay there, and there has to be a rebound to maybe this 80,000. This 80,000 now will become a resistance level. Now it's support level, then it will become resistance level.
Right.
So from that point, then let's see, trading between 72 and 80, we'll stay around 76 or so. The next leg is down to 60, and then you know scenario. What will
Well,
happen?
Sasha, I did have one question before we wrap up, and that is, how has gold been performing? Gold seems
Gold
to
is
me
doing terrific. But
doing terrific, right? Yeah.
okay, medium and long term, it's going to go much higher. Now, a short term, now it's trading over 3,000. It may have a short correction. Maybe it could down to 29.50, maybe even 28.50. It should go down. But first of all, before it will go down, it has to stop going up. It's higher. So don't expect that in the next half an hour gold will go down to 100 points. No, it's not going to happen. But there has to be some correction, short-term correction. I'm expecting to do.
You know, gold buys the same amount of anything today as it did 5,000 years ago. A given amount of gold will buy as much barley today as it did 5,000 years ago, as much of anything as it did 5,000
Well,
years
when you're
ago.
talking about where do you go if you don't have your money, you're afraid to put your money in stocks. Gold has been the traditional answer.
What's wrong with owning SPY, which has its share of gold companies?
Well, this is the thing that, if you're afraid of stocks, then you're afraid of the S&P 500. So where do you go? US dollar, gold. These are the traditional old-time answers.
But US dollar
They
is
still-
not in great shape. And this is one of the reasons why gold went up significantly, because US dollar is not very reliable.
Yeah, it rallied recently, but I agree with you that it's no longer. At least I don't put any trust in. It's just the administration that we're under right now. I don't have any confidence in how it's going to manage the economy. So it seems to me that things like gold are more stable.
Don't forget about silver, by the way, because
Yeah,
silver
other precious
is
metals.
moving to- Now, remember when you were saying about, let's see, you pull money out of the market, and where would you place them? There are two alternatives. One was Bitcoin and one was gold. And some people believe that it's much better gold. Some people believe it's Bitcoin. And now I think the issue has been resolved. It's obviously gold. Because if there is a correlation between price movement between Bitcoin and high-tech stocks. There is no evident parallel between gold and high-tech. Gold, and by the way, copper, which is copper is another commodity which is moving because it's always independent. The only problem with copper is if there will be downturn in US and maybe in the world economy, then demand for copper would go weaker. It's not happening yet, but we'll see. All I'm praying is to survive until the end of this month, and hopefully market will go a little bit higher.
What if they get rid of the penny? What will it do to copper?
Yeah, that's true. So
there's an economic indicator that nobody talks about, and my wife brought it up, and that is when you see the number of trucks on the road.
Yes,
that means the economy is prospering, and there are a lot of trucks on the road now.
I also say the same thing. It was traffic to the golf course. Could you get a tee time? All those things indicated that the economy was booming. And if you can get a tee time anytime, then people aren't.
Maybe the economy is so strong that it will survive Trump and his tariffs and all these actions. Maybe, who knows? Maybe.
Absolutely, and that's a confidence that I try to hold on to. Is that the numbers, the revenue streams that I see, the companies that I follow reasonably well, I don't see why that should taper off. I just don't see it in the near future. In the near future, I think is a 4-year term. So they can survive. They may survive. Who knows?
Well, hopefully in a showdown between Trump and Constitution, the Constitution will prevail. Who knows?
I've always believed that, but I didn't believe he would be reelected, so that I could be fooled.
Well, in the meantime, if there is a market correction and recession, I think this is the price what Americans are paying for electing Trump. I mean, the choice was not great to begin with. First Biden, then Harris, and then finally Trump. And didn't work
During
well.
during the last election, Trump got. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
During the last election, Trump got about a third of the voters, roughly. Kamala Harris also got about a third of the voters, and 1/3 did not vote. What does that tell you? Yeah,
They don't think it matters. And
exactly.
it does.
Exactly. Exactly. People don't
But
vote because they're happy with the way things are. Yeah.
Jim and Sasha and Milan, but hasn't that been going on for a while? I alluded to it on a couple of our other shows that there's been a lot of people that like to sit on their hands because they don't see the importance of politics on the national level and the international level, and a lot of them don't even see the importance on the local level, even though, as we've said on this show, the local level oftentimes is the one that impacts you the most and everything. But I'm just wondering about that because there is a lot of apathy, I believe is the word that people use among young voters and voters in general and everything. So that's what a problem is that there's a lot of apathy.
well, there is a point which actually I was making earlier, right after the inauguration of Trump, that Democrats have to just stay back and let Trump to distract everything around him, and that's how Democrats would win midterm election and then maybe even general election. But he's doing such a massacre of U.S. internationally, economically, and so I'm not so sure that this is the right strategy.
Yes, it's turned into a dog eat dog world. DOG.
Yeah, but Sasha and Jim, along those same lines, and Milan, maybe you got some thoughts around this too, because I brought up on one of our news programs. Unfortunately, I hear what you're saying, Sasha, but if you look at the statistics, it's like a ridiculous, quote unquote, MAGA people, but a ridiculous amount of Republicans that love and still love Trump. I think he's got like a 95% approval rating among his own party and everything. So I hear what you're saying, that we can get the Democrats to rally, but then you got to get the independents to rally as well, because apparently he's got a total control over the Republican Party and everything. But I don't know if you agree with that, Jim, but that's what I've been seeing is 90 to 95%.
Agree with him, he will back up primary against you. So people are still in his party. They're still definitely afraid of him.
Yeah, it's almost like a animal fear. They are trying to hang on to their constituency. They want to keep their job as senators, which is almost $200,000, and free parking at the Dallas airport.
Yeah.
Hold on to it.
These are luxuries. But if you put security over liberty, you'll end up with neither. So
hey, Sasha, just really quickly, because I kind of alluded to it in the chat, but I did want to get to it since y'all brought it up with trucking and everything, and I see that Nick has joined us as well. But I remember the Canadian truckers went on strike and everything. So my question is, I understand what y'all are saying, and that is a indicator of because you have to get the trucks to bring the goods to the different places and everything. But if they're not paid, or if they feel like they're being abused, do we run the risk of there being a trucker strike in the United States? Because y'all pretty much got shut down there for a minute in Canada.
In Canada, it was COVID-related strike, as you remember. And in US, there must be some kind of serious reason for US truckers who are making very good money to all of a sudden go for strike. I don't see that happening at this time, but who knows? Maybe in the future.
Could be, but you're right. Truckers make some good money. I've got some friends that are truckers, some that do like UPS, and some of the delivery trucks that are more localized, and some that do interstate. And the interstate drivers, whether they're driving for Amazon and Jeff Bezos, or they're driving for some of the other companies, they make some money that is like doctor-like and everything. They make some very good income.
Weed, whites, and wine.
Okay, before we finish, I would like to indicate, at least it's not an advice, but just for information purposes, what I'm doing in my portfolio with my stocks in this challenging time, let's put it this way. But again, as I said, by the end of this month, we should have a pop-up in the market. So in the meantime, I'm very selective in trades that I'm doing. I'm not holding a large position in anything, but a little bit of, say, Goldman Sachs. I have some shares, Nvidia. I have also the Trade Desk. The reason for Trade Desk is it went down from approximately $150 a share. They get the lousy earnings report. So they're trading now around $54, $55 a share, 55 now. So I think risk reward ratio is justified in this case. Nvidia, obviously one of my favorites always. Even at this level where Nvidia is trading now at 117, I think it has potential to go in the short term to 125, I believe. Everywhere in every position, I have the protective calls, the calls that allow me to mitigate a risk. So even if the stock will go down from the level where I bought it, so obviously the protective call or covered call, you want to call it, will mitigate that possibility. The only thing I made an exception on Nvidia. I have 1,000 shares and I sold only 6 covered calls and 4 they're free from any call. So I would like to capitalize on this. Actually, if it will go to 122, maybe I'll sell another 4 covered calls, just in case. But again, all the strategy and everything what I'm holding as of the end of March, starting April, I will adjust my strategy.
Yeah, right now you're talking small amounts compared to usual.
And,
Yeah, very small amounts. You see, I have some cash available on my fund account. My core account I don't touch. It's the same as it was a year ago and 3 years ago. I don't touch it. And the only thing is, in April, I will take some cash dividends I'll take out because I'm planning a big trip to Europe in May. So I will need some cash.
Hey, Sasha, and definitely Jim and Milan as well. We might have to invest in Disney because our founder of the network just came in and he's got that Mickey Mouse voice going as well. So we might have to invest in Disney because for some reason his mic isn't working. He's got that whole Mickey Mouse thing going. So we might
I
have to
bought
invest
Disney
in
at
Disney.
80. What's it at now? Disney 100. Okay, so I made $20 a share. Yeah.
Well, finally, I forgot to mention another position that I have is NVDY. This
Yes. I have that too now. Based on your conversations, yes.
Yeah, I still have 10,000 shares. The dividend will be paid next week. So last dividend was actually pretty good. It's $1.62.
Yeah.
So,
For $17. So.
Yeah.
He sounds like himself, so maybe he can actually say what he's invested in because I know he did that.
Oh, I got rid of Intel. I put a limit order on it at 26 a share because I bought it at like 20. I made like 20% in a couple weeks. Now that's kind of weird because, some of the stocks I buy, Sasha, I'll make like 20% in a couple weeks, and if I hold it, sometimes it can either go up, sometimes it crashes. But some days I think, if I make 20% in a couple of weeks on a stock, I don't mind getting out. So I have limit orders on anything. When I make 10 or 20%, I just get out because my theory is a company cannot be worth 20% more or less in a period of a year. It's next to impossible. So if you're making 20% in a very short period of time, there's probably an aberration in the market. So I took my Intel, and then when I got out at 26, I just noticed it dropped down to 24. If it keeps dropping, then I'll buy it again. I have any problem with that. I'll buy low, sell high. I don't see where you have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out, assuming all the other metrics are good. I'm looking at Kinder Morgan, but analysts are funny. They go, "Oh, look at Kinder Morgan." So I looked at it. It's overpriced. What are they thinking? I don't get some of these analysts. They'll send you to something, and all I do is look at the 52-week high low, and they're trading on the high. It's probably overpriced. Why are they doing this? Yeah, Milan.
They're being paid to do it. Yeah.
They're being paid to do it. Okay, yeah, Milan. What's going on here with these analysts?
You guys have to stop buying individual stocks because you know that selling puts and calls on SPY has produced an 18% return over 200 years, and it's effortless.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of different strategies you can do to hit the 10 to 20%, but you have to work at it. One problem is I didn't do with my biggest stock is I didn't have a sell order on it when it hit over 100 a share. So I let it go up to 100, and then I didn't look at it again until it was back down to 75. So I bought it at 75, it jumped up to 120, but I didn't have a sell order on it. So I had theoretically made a lot of money. I should have sold it, but I wasn't paying attention to it. So
Right.
I'm putting automatic sell orders in case I'm busy and I just don't have time to watch the market go down. So it's kind of fun.
Well, it's a good strategy, Nick. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think so. In other words, hey, look, if I make 10 or 20% on every trade I do, I'm happy. And the ones they don't do it, I make sure I have a high enough dividend yield that if I keep it, I don't really care where it goes. No, dividend yields exceeding 5%, 5, 6, 7. I'm looking at Altera again. The Philip Morris, it's got a good dividend, but the metric, if you look internally, the smoking industry is not a growing industry, so it's some problems with that.
I'm not helping it anymore.
But
I'm not helping the smoking industry anymore.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's also a dying industry. I hate to say it. Smoking is a dying industry. And if you look at
Before she retired, my mom pretty much killed that. She had the Goldie Foundation, which was the tobacco settlement money. So she pretty much killed that industry.
Yeah. But a lot of those settlements they come back over a period of time. It's like a bad disease. So Altria is really recommended by a lot of the analysts. I am looking at it, but I have problems in a dying industry to buy into something that's frankly doesn't look like it has a big future. But then they say they're starting to diversify away from smoking, so I don't know. But I was hoping to get some ideas what to look at on this show. I know an idea not to look at is Tesla, because I think Sasha raked him over the coals, but I have not been able to ever pull the gun on Tesla because Tesla looks like it's overpriced every day of the week, every year. I bought Ford. I'm happy with Ford. They're undervalued. They give a good dividend. But Tesla, are you serious?
We did earlier talk about Tesla shares, and I mentioned that a support is at $168 a share, but it's trading now around, $240 or so, right? So 168 is support. If you're ready to buy Tesla today and wait all the way down to 168, you're a very brave man. And
I'm not brave to tangle Teslas. As one analyst said, it's a stock you never want to sell short, but you also don't want to buy long. And as they say in Shark Tank, with Tesla.
Well, yeah, that was my experience with it was profitable, but I would never go through that again. It was too volatile.
Yeah, it's better to own Tesla cards than Tesla stock. Well, we covered a lot of ground today.
Thank you very much.
Let's get ready now for the Federal Reserve solution and news, whatever is going to announce in a few minutes. And thanks so much for today's program. We'll see you next week, same place, same time. Bye-bye, everybody. Good luck in your investments.
Thanks again.
Bye-bye.